Celebration! Welcome again to Goat vs. Fish. This shall be a mighty versus. Welcome again to Goat vs. Fish. This shall be a mighty versus. Welcome again to Goat vs. Fish. This shall be a mighty versus. Welcome again to Goat vs. Fish. This shall be a mighty versus. So choose a fish or goat, my fence. Yes, choose a fish or goat. Welcome to the new Mighty Verses of 20,026 celebrations. Celebrations all around. Some call for a New Year's resolution, but Goat vs. Fish calls for a New Year's revolution. It's a revolution of Goat vs. Fish, with the goat and fish rising up in the new millennium, or the new year, or the new week, or today. It's happening today. It's happening now. Now is Goat vs. Fish. The revolution of Goat vs. Fish happens now. It's a revolving versus that just goes around and around and around and around and around. It's so revolutionary that Goat vs. Fish is used to standing at the center of the verses like this. But now Goat vs. Fish thought, what if Goat vs. Fish was over here so you could see the whole verses? Wow, it's a whole new verses of Goat vs. Fish. Everything's changed to Goat vs. Fish. Everything's new, Goat vs. Fish. I don't know if I like it, Goat vs. Fish. This versus will be the verses of the Goat vs. Fish revolution. Because when you keep your resolution, there will be revolution. There will be revolution, and the fences will come crumbling down, Oh, you can't see this part of Goat vs. Fish when we're over in this versus. You can't see what's Goat vs. Fish got over here? Oh, it could be a goat or it could be a fish. It could be any versus. It could be nothing. Could be nothing there at all. But that's what happens. Change can be a difficult and painful thing. Change can be a difficult and painful and stressful thing, but that's why Goat vs. Fish is here for you. That's why Goat vs. Fish is here for you. That's why Goat vs. Fish is here with you to enjoy a little morning motivation with Goat vs. Fish. A little hot cup of Goat vs. Fish here. Yes, your hangover is done. Yes, you've hung over the fence on January 1st, and now it's already the tooth. And if you're not getting to the New Year's revolution of Goat vs. Fish by the tooth, then you're just fence sitting in that versus. But Goat vs. Fish doesn't sit on the fence. Goat vs. Fish is here for you, and Goat vs. Fish is here for Goat vs. Fish. So let's just enjoy a versus. Refreshing. We're having some tea because you can't spell goat without tea. You can't spell goat without tea. Who is going to join Goat vs. Fish at this unfencely hour? Yes, it's very early for Goat vs. Fish. Some would say too early for Goat vs. Fish, of course. Those who would say it's too early for Goat vs. Fish don't know the first verses about Goat vs. Fish. They don't know the first verses because it's always Goat vs. Fish. And Goat vs. Fish thought that what could be a finer versus than early Goat vs. Fish? You're waking up and you have to go to the fence. We know you have to go to the fence. You have to do all that work that Goat vs. Fish hears so much about. You have to do that work and you have to put on your goat, and you have to put on your fish, and you have to tie the fence around your neck, and you've got to get out there, and you've got to labor so you can earn monetization. You have to earn that monetization so you can give it to GoatVsFish. And if GoatVsFish is going to be here asking you to make your monetary contributions to GoatVsFish, then GoatVsFish should give you the motivation that you need to get out there and spend all of your earthly hours spending your life trying to make just a bit of that scratch so you can send it to GoatVsFish. You deserve the motivation of GoatVsFish. You deserve the motivation of GoatVsFish. So celebration, and GoatVsFish could use the motivation of GoatVsFish. GoatVsFish has been feeling a bit fancy lately, and we thought, well, if we just had more GoatVsFish in our lives, then we wouldn't be feeling as fancy. Sometimes, in order to achieve GoatVsFish, you just have to get off the fence, and instead you think, well, maybe I'll get off the fence, and then I'll choose GoatVsFish. No! 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 No, you're putting the goat before the fish, or is that you're putting the fish before the goat, or to get off the fence you choose goat or fish. You don't wait until you're off the fence to choose goat or fish. That wouldn't versus at all. And we have some GoatVsFish. We have some GoatVsFish. And here we have, and here, as the first verses in the new millennium, GoatVsFish, we have several chatters here with GoatVsFish. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at that. First verse is, FenceBot is here. FenceBot is here telling us that the connection needs a refresh. Wow, thanks for that information. Wow, that's just what we like to hear. And now it just says @VsFish. This whole versus, it's getting a bit strange to GoatVsFish. What if we? Now we're just having fun moving verses around. That seems like a fun versus. GoatVsFish. Oh, 4 goat and fish, 3 fish, 2 goat and fish. That's kind of a fun verse. It's like, it's way back there. It's way back there, but you can still see it because it's still GoatVsFish. Happy New Year, Russell Harwood 420, and welcome to GoatVsFish. And welcome to GoatVsFish. So we need to update FenceBot. Pat Estedor says GoatVsFish. GoatVsFish to you too. And there's a subscription to GoatVsFish. The first subscription of the new verses. The first subscription of the new verses. Appreciation to Blackstone514. Who continues their subscription to GoatVsFish. Appreciation. It's been 7 verses, but Blackstone514, we know you've been there supporting GoatVsFish since the beginning of GoatVsFish. AV Gas says celebration indeed. But wait, it doesn't say celebration, it says celebration! Some say GoatVsFish just says goat and fish and celebration. We do not deny this. And a celebration for goat. AV Gas, celebration for goat. Celebration for goat! Celebration for goat. Pat Estedor needs a mighty verses right about now. Well, how about this? Have you ever seen a verses mightier than GoatVsFish? Never. Never a mightier verses. Never a mightier verses than GoatVsFish. Ruffle says, is goat a fish when considering goat C? Well, goat C, you spell it with the C of the fish. You spell it with the C of the fish, but SeanKnight.com with the gifted verses. It's the first gift. It's the first gift of the new verses of 20,026. Appreciation to SeanKnight.com. We are never going to give up, SeanKnight.com. We're never going to let you down, SeanKnight.com. That's one more in the verses. And GoatVsFish, we're just going to declare that when we reach 10 subscriptions. This verse is 10 subscriptions. GoatVsFish. No, let's make it 12. Let's make it 12 subscriptions, one for each verses in the new verse. When we reach 12 subscriptions, GoatVsFish, t-shirt giveaway of GoatVsFish at 12 subscriptions. And there, Blackstone 514 with another 2 verses. With another 2 verses for GoatVsFish celebration. We're going to count all these verses. The motivation is already in your fishy blood, in your goaty spit. The motivation of GoatVsFish. It is within your mind. It's within your mind. And when you woke up and you thought, I'm already behind. Nonsense. You're getting ahead in the verses. You're getting ahead every single verses. You just put one hoof in front of one fin, one hoof in front of one fin, and you just have your little, morning routinization. And the verses begins just like that. If you're going to get up early for GoatVsFish, GoatVsFish is going to get up early for you in Tyrus. 4191 with 200 bits for GoatVsFish. Appreciation. In any verses raffle, when you say goat C and you spell C-S-E-A, then we think you're talking about some kind of sea goat, a goat that's in the sea of the fish. But of course, if you're talking about the classic goat C of the interwebiverse, that's a powerful goat. We advise you not to trifle. GoatVsFish advises all fish, and most goats even, not to trifle with Goat C, because once you see Goat C, you can't unsee Goat C. You can't unsee that goat. And it's a deep goat. M. Robert Kopp says, today I am goat. Well, celebration for goat. Get out there and versus that fish. SeanKnight.com with 8 gifted verses. 8 gifted verses. 8 huge gifted verses. GoatVsFish, we suspect that we've got a t-shirt giveaway happening right now on GoatVsFish. Spoonman says it is fish. Russell Harwood says Happy New Year to Goat-vs-Fish. We've got Goat. Grandmaster Ong, welcome back to Goat-vs-Fish. So beautiful to have you in the verses, Grandmaster Ong. May your juggles be strong. May your juggles be strong. You've got a lot to juggle in the new verses, so let this be your motivation. Let this be your motivation to keep on juggling in the new verses. You can only improve from there. Appreciation. Subs are going all around. Celebration. Russell Harwood thinking SeanKnight.com. Are you goat or are you fish? SeanKnight.com says goat. Tires with 200 bits. Wow, it's all happening so fast on GoatVsFish. Tell us in the chat. It's time, chat. It's time, congregation. You're not just a chat, you're a congregation. It's time, my congregation. You may have declared goat or fish already, but we want you to declare goat or fish again, and we're going to count the verses. And once we put those 12 subscriptions on that board, we're doing that giveaway of GoatVsFish with no hesitation. So tell us, goat or a fish. You may have told us goat or fish already, but now we ask for the declaration. And we're going to make it written here on GoatVsFish. M. Robert Kopp says goat, so let's get goat in the verses. For M. Robert Kopp. First goat in the verses. SeanKnight.com. Second goat in the verses. That's 2 goat. I'm a fish. Patistador says I'm a fish. It's 2 goat versus 1 fish here in 2026. Celebration. Looking now at the verses. We have SeanKnight.com gave 8 subs. SeanKnight.com gave 9 subs. SeanKnight.com resubscribed to GoatVsFish. That makes 10 verses. 10 for SeanKnight.com. 11 for SeanKnight.com. 11 for SeanKnight.com. That's 11 goat for SeanKnight.com. So we have to get 11 goat. 11 goat in the verses. So we have to do it. We have to do 11 goat. So let's count the goat. Celebration for fish. Let's count the goat. That's 1 goat. That's 2 goat. 2 goat. That's 3 goat. That's 4 goat. That's 4 goat. That's 4 goat. That's goat versus fish. 4 goat. That's 5 goat. 6 goat. 7 goat. 7 goat with an interruption by Tyrus the fish. Tyrus the fish with 200 bits and a blub. So let's get 225. 225 in donation from fish. And goat versus fish. That's goat versus fish. 3, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s. 8 for goat. 8 for goat. 8 for goat. 9 for goat. 9 for goat. 10 for goat. 10 for goat. 11 for goat. 11 for goat. Let's all wish SeanKnight.com a celebration and a happy new year to you, SeanKnight.com. We are pleased to see you here early. Take this versus of goat versus fish as some of your motivation to get out there and you kick some grass. You kick some grass and you versus that fish. Versus that fish, SeanKnight.com. We believe in you. We believe in you. Celebration! Celebration! We believe in you, SeanKnight.com. We believe in you. We believe in you. Russell Harwood for 20 goes goat. Russell Harwood goat. Sean Knight goat. Blackstone goat. And Blackstone 514. Blackstone 514. With 2 gifted verses and a subscription. So that's 3. That's 3 goat. That's 3 goat. And we think you deserve verses. We think you deserve verses a new goat. Thank you for believing in goat versus fish. Thank you for believing in goat versus fish. So let's get two goat, already existing goat. That's 1 goat. That makes 12 for goat versus fish. That's 2 goat. But thanks to Blackstone 514, we have another subscription. Let's get a new goat. Let's get a new, never before seen goat on goat versus fish. It's a new year. It's a new year, so let's get a new goat. An infant goat, a baby goat. Bright-eyed. Ready to versus the fish. Full of possibility. It's a new leaping baby goat. Aww. And what is the fish it's thinking about? Why? It's thinking about pizza. It's thinking about a slice of pizza fish. The fish that this goat versus is pizza, and it wants to consume. It wants to consume. So let's get that goat. Let's get that goat there. The goat is thinking about pizza. It's a delicious versus. And there we have it. There we have it. 13 subscriptions for goat versus fish. Let's check to see any other goat and fish who joined the verses. Tyrus, Harwood. Yes, yes. We counted those verses. Grandmaster Ong, are you goat or are you fish? Spoonman says it is a fish. Says it is fish. So let's give Spoonman a fish. That's 3 fish. That's 3 fish. We give Spoonman a fish. Raffle, are you goat or fish? AV Gas, are you goat or are you fish? And we promised a t-shirt giveaway on goat versus fish. We promised a t-shirt giveaway on goat versus fish. We promised it on Goat vs. Fish, so why don't we just do it on Goat vs. Fish? Let's do it for whoever is here. Ah, I'm Goat, see? Says Raffle. I'm Goat, see? Raffle is really into Goat, see? That's 4 goat versus 3 fish. That's 4 goat versus 3 fish. That's 4 goat versus 3 fish. Goat off to an early lead. Off to an early lead. So far, this is giving all the motivation that Goat vs. Fish needs to continue doing early streams of Goat vs. Fish. Come on, marbles. Let's get marbling. Let's get marbling. We want marbles in this versus. We want to roll. Although we could just roll a versus in the classic way. We could just roll a versus in the classic way. But Goat vs. Fish, we'll do a marbleization. Everyone loves a marbleization roll. It is true. It is true. Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish. Christmas morning? Okay, let's do that versus. Let's do that versus. And then Goat vs. Fish goes here. And there it is. It's already Goat vs. Fish. Let's put on Musications just for fun. Let's put on the Musications just for fun. One of our favorite verses. Exclamation play, exclamation play. Type exclamation play. Type exclamation play right now. The versus begins in 5 minutes. The versus begins in 5 minutes. Let's see who's here. Let's see who's here. This is for a t-shirt giveaway of Goat vs. Fish. Ah, there they are. We've got Pattisted, or we've got Flaming Schnitzel Sticks. Where did Flaming Schnitzel Sticks come from? Flaming Schnitzel Sticks, are you goat or are you fish? This is a shirt giveaway. This is a giveaway of a shirt of Goat vs. Fish. Goat? Goat? Flaming Schnitzel Sticks goes Goat. Celebration for Goat. Celebration for Goat. In just 4 minutes, we've got a shirt giveaway, and we need to show you what kind of shirts you're competing for. Today on Goat vs. Fish, type exclamation point play to join the marble race. Inventive Harvest, welcome to Goat vs. Fish. And you could get this, you could get this. A shirt that says Goat vs. Fish. Comes in all sizes up to 5XL, except for 4XL. Listen, if you're on the fence between 3XL and 5XL, just get off the fence and choose Goat or Fish. A shirt of Goat vs. Fish. And if not that versus, a shirt of unification. The unity of GoatFish, the unity of GoatFish. Perfect for bringing in the new versus, the unity of GoatFish. You may choose how you want to bring in the new year with Goat or Fish. Would you be willing to send half of a 3XL and half of a 5XL when I win, says Ruffle? No. Goat vs. Fish would not be willing to send you that. Unless you exclamation point tip. You see here we have Ruffle who says, would you be willing to send half of a 3XL and half of a 5XL to Goat vs. Fish? To Goat vs. Fish. There is no 4XL. But if you tip Goat vs. Fish $100, then Goat vs. Fish will send you half of a 3XL and half of a 5XL. Wow, how generous, Goat vs. Fish. It's almost like if you ask a special favor for Goat vs. Fish, that Goat vs. Fish might ask a special favor of you. You scratch my goat, I scratch your fish. It's a beautiful verses. Ask fancy questions, get fancy answers. There is no 4XL. The verses is about to begin. The verses is about to begin. We have 24 seconds leading up to the beginning of this verses. And here we have, and it seems there's, I see. We begin asleep. We begin this verses asleep. We have Pediced or Flaming Schnitzel Stick, Raffle, M. Robert Cop, Russell Hardwood 420, Blackstone 514, Zlata is awesome. Welcome to Goat vs. Fish. And here goes the marbleization, and they're rolling out of bed this verses. They're rolling out of bed for the morning motivation of Goat vs. Fish. They're going, oh, wow, Goat vs. Fish is live? Goat vs. Fish is live right now? I can scarcely believe my verses. But first, you're trapped by the fence. The fence says to you, no, stay in bed. No, snooze just a little bit longer. No, you can start that thing tomorrow. You can start it next week. You can start it next year. You can start it next year. But gradually, the fence starts to dissipation. The fence starts to dissipation. And here comes Patistedor. Suddenly your mind starts to spin. Your mind starts spinning and swirling. You're saying, where's my caffeination? I can't think straight. I can't see straight. Oh, everything's so difficult. Why is life so hard? Why is there no meaning to anything? I'm having an existential crisis again on Goat vs. Fish. And then you went somewhere. You turned on the lights. You said, I need to see Goat vs. Fish. How am I supposed to enjoy Goat vs. Fish if I don't see Goat vs. Fish? It's a grand illumination. You fall flat on your face, and then you realize as you traverse over the hardwood floor, you say, why did I ever get rid of that carpet? Why did I ever get rid of that carpet? I know that it was soiled and that it stank and that it looked awful, but oh, it was so soft and so warm on my hooves. And now I have to deal with this hardwood floor that might as well have been made of fence posts. Goat vs. Fish, Patistedor now into the winter's cold. Oh, it's icy out there. But the boss demands your presence, the boss demands your attention, and you need to get there now because Goat vs. Fish is waiting for you to earn that hard cash so you can give it to Goat vs. Fish. And then you're stuck in traffic. Oh, my verses, you're stuck in traffic. You're trying to just get things done. You're trying to be a responsible goat or fish. You're trying to versus the fish, you're trying to versus the goat, and then suddenly a giant space laser comes down and tries to eliminate you from existence. But you don't worry about that. That happens every versus. You stumble down the steps. Goat vs. Fish is live. No obstacles will stop you. No amount of pixelation. No spinning and rotating things that make you have to practice your open-handed fist jabs. No, yes, it's an open-handed fist jab. It's a fish jab. It's jib jab. It's flim flam. It's Patistador making its way towards the gift of Goat versus Fish, towards the gift of Goat versus Fish, and a finish. Patistador finishes on Goat versus Fish. Patistador finished on Goat versus Fish. Patistador with the triumph. And here comes Raffle, M. Robert Kopp. Raffle still dreaming about a universe in which half of a 3XL and half of a 5XL exist somehow, some way. Flaming Schnitzel Sticks. Problem is you wear a 4XL? Well, then guess what? That's your problem. What are you going to do about it? Patistador, you have triumphed. You have triumphed in this versus of Goat versus Fish. Zlata is awesome is here in the verses. Zlata is awesome. Are you Goat or are you Fish? Are you Goat or are you Fish? Raffle says second place gets a fence. Raffle just keeps wanting Goat versus Fish. Raffle just wants something from Goat versus Fish, wants half a versus, wants to get to versus. Raffle wants everything from Goat versus Fish. Raffle wants it all. Zlata is awesome says you already know Goat. Zlata is awesome says Goat. Zlata is awesome says Goat. Zlata is awesome says Goat. That's awesome. That's so awesome. Celebration for Goat. We have 6 Goat versus 3 Fish. Twice as many Goat as Fish in 2026. Twice as many Goat and Fish. Oh, Raffle, you need a shirt so you can go outside again, okay? Oh, that's okay, Raffle, that's okay. That's okay. Just send 40 versus American dollars, send 40 versus American dollars to Goat versus Fish, and then you can get a shirt of Goat versus Fish, one shirt of Goat versus Fish, and we'll ship it to you, and then you can go outside again. But if you don't go outside, you can just keep watching Goat versus Fish. The more demands you make of Goat versus Fish, the more asks of Goat versus Fish returns the verses to you. Goat versus Fish returns the verses to you. You want that shirt? Then you get that shirt by sending 40 versus American dollars to Goat versus Fish. We believe in you. We believe that you can do this. Goat versus Fish. Raffle says we live in a world where store requires shirt to enter store. To buy the shirt, you need to enter store in the first place. Well, that's why this is the Goat versus Fish revolution. And in the Goat versus Fish revolution, you can just give Goat versus Fish 40 versus American dollars, and then you can tell Goat versus Fish where you live, but not in the chat, and then Goat versus Fish can send it to you. But if you don't want to do that, then don't complain to Goat versus Fish. And Slaughter's awesome celebration. Patistador. What shirt do you wish? Do you wish the Goat versus Fish shirt, or do you wish the unification shirt? What kind of verses are you bringing into the new year? Are you bringing big versus energy? Are you bringing big versus energy? Or are you bringing Goat versus Fish? Or are you bringing Goat versus Fish unification style energy? Are you bringing strong bonds of unity between Goat and Fish? Strong bonds of unity between Goat and Fish. What kind of verses are you bringing into the new millennium? But what if you're broke, Goat versus Fish? Then Goat versus Fish will fix you. Goat versus Fish will fix you if you're broke. By the power of Goat versus Fish, you will be fixed. You won't be broke anymore. You'll be fixed by Goat versus Fish. Just keep watching Goat versus Fish. Ask everyone you know if they are Goat or Fish. Just keep saying Goat versus Fish. Keep doing Goat versus Fish. And the riches of the universe will be yours. The riches of the universe will be yours eventually at some point in the future. Who knows when exactly? Goat versus Fish can't say, but you just have to trust Goat versus Fish. You just have to trust Goat versus Fish that your rewards will be infinite. Later. It'll happen not now, but eventually. Rain Felicia says fish, celebration for fish, celebration for fish. Celebration for fish. What keeps happening to the chalk of Goat versus Fish? What keeps happening to the writing implements of Goat versus Fish? Celebration for fish, celebration for fish. Fish, 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 fish. That's a fish. And Raffle says, what if you're something to Goat versus Fish? We don't even know what you're saying to Goat versus Fish. We don't even know what you're saying to Goat versus Fish. Year of the Goat. Zlata says that 2026 is the year of the goat. Oh, we'll get into that verses. Who? Look at fish. Fish. The fish is looking back to 2025. The goat is looking forward to 2026. It's a very nice verses. Autumn Samurai, welcome to Goat versus Fish. Salutations and Happy New Year to you, great one. You're the great one, Autumn Samurai. You're the great one, and your greatness will be part of every verses that you take here in the new year. Every verses you take, you will be imbued with the power of yourself. And that is all you need to triumph. That and a little help from my goat. Oh, I get by with little help from my fish. Autumn Samurai, are you goat or fish? Rain Felicia, so pleasant to have you. We've been getting a lot of rain here in Los Angeles. Zlata's awesome comments that fish is looking back because he is stuck in 2025 and refuses to look forward to the future like our greatest of all-time goat. Like our greatest of all-time goat. Maybe so. Maybe fish is going to learn a lesson from 2025 that it will use to gain experience to triumph over the goat in 2026. Autumn Samurai says, Watashi wa sakana desu. Watashi wa sakana desu. I am here to represent fish across the world. It's an across-the-world fish. It's an across-the-world fish. Autumn Samurai fish. That's 5 fish. That's 5 fish versus 6 goat. That's 5 fish versus 6 goat. Patasedor, you have triumphed. Remind us once again, Patasedor, do you wish? What size shirt do you wish? What size shirt do you wish? What size shirt do you wish? Large, a large versus. Do you want a goat versus fish shirt or a unification shirt? Do you want a goat versus fish shirt or a unification shirt? Also, if you're broke, you can wait for someone else to gift or to give 12 subscriptions to Goat versus Fish. And then we'll have another free t-shirt giveaway, and you could win it, Zlata. You could win it. You could win it in the congregation of Goat versus Fish. Here is unification. Here's unification. Also, Zlata is awesome. If you want more merch of Goat versus Fish, you can always come to the Church of Goat versus Fish and volunteer your efforts, and your efforts will be rewarded with sweet, sick merch. Sweet, sick merch. Patistedor wants the Goat versus Fish shirt celebration. Central Florida, you're going to wear it over in Central Florida? Listen, Central Florida really needs Goat versus Fish. How about you go and you wear it to Alligator Alcatraz and you show all those fence sitters. Oh, suddenly a reverse. You show those fence sitters about Goat versus Fish. That'll change their minds. That'll be the revolution. When every one of you is wearing a Goat versus Fish t-shirt, that will be the revolution. Imagine going out and walking down on Venice Beach. Imagine going to Times Square in New York. Imagine going to Central Florida and literally everyone you see is wearing a shirt that says Goat versus Fish. Ah, the peace. Ah, the harmony. Ah, the eternal conflict of Goat versus Fish. That would be a beautiful verses. So, Patistedor, we're going to now do a little calculation here. We're going to do a little calculation. And while Goat versus Fish is doing this calculation, Goat versus Fish, we're going to check Paddy. Ah, we don't see it. Here's what we want from you, Padistador. Padistador, we want you to click the link. We want you to click the link in the chat. We want you to click the link in the chat. Do you see it? And we want you to fill out that form, which will include your address. And then in the special notes, we want you to push large. And by the verses, Goat vs. Fish, we're going to bring this back. Are you a subscriber to Goat vs. Fish? Did you just become a subscriber to Goat vs. Fish? All subscribers get a free sticker that says Goat vs. Fish. Gets one free sticker that says Goat vs. Fish. So if you're a subscriber, you get a sticker that says Goat vs. Fish. Fill out the form. Fill out the form. This is if you were gifted a subscription or if you subscribed yourself. If you just got a subscription and you've never received a sticker of Goat vs. Fish, click the link. Click the link that's in the chat now. Free vinyl stickers for all subscribers to Goat vs. Fish. So can you do that, Padistador? Can you do that? And then Goat vs. Fish. We'll get you that shirt that says Goat vs. Fish. Flashy fish. Padistador is doing it now. Rain Felicia, you say you can vibe with a Florida person. Do you think the average Floridian is goat or a fish? Why don't we have a look? Why don't we have a look at some news of Goat vs. Fish? Why don't we have a look at some news of Goat vs. Fish? See what we can see, be what we can be. Goat vs. Fish. 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 That's a strange versus. That's a strange versus. So these are all above Goat vs. Fish. Ah. Celebration. J Stick says, I'm a Floridian and I'm fish. Would you look at that? We have another fish. We have another fish. Celebration for fish. And that makes 6 goat versus 6 fish. There are 13 subscriptions for goat. There's 225 in donations to fish. It's going to look like it's going to be a big versus. It looks like it's going to be a big and mighty versus. So goat is goat looking forward. Is goat looking forward? To the new year, you better believe that goat is looking forward to the new year, because guess what happened just 6 days ago? Guess what happened just 6 days ago? Some of you may know, some of you may know. Some of you may know. In the symbol of Swedish Christmas, there is a mighty goat. The gavel goat, the gavel goat, or it's a goat. Listen, it's a big goat. It's a big goat. And we'll show you. We'll show you what happened with this goat. We'll show you what happened with this goat. Every year in Sweden, this giant goat. Every year in Sweden, this giant goat is erected. There it is. There's the goat. Every year, this giant goat is erected. And every year, Goat and Fish travel from around the universe to look at this giant goat. Now, what often happens with this giant goat is that it is set aflame. Fire goat. Many verses, this goat in years past has been set ablaze. As a matter of verses, long before there was any such poly markets or any of that nonsense, there were those who would wager on whether the goat would last it all the way through Versmas. Will the goat last all the way through Versmas? This goat has been seen. Being set aflame. Some verses the goat survives. And even though the flaming goat, even though the giant flaming goat has become a symbol of much tourism and much merchandisation, never the fence. They put a fence around the goat, and they try to prevent everyone from burning the goat, Hello, BBDH187. 99 LSDOCD, also in the YouTube, who says, am I too late for declaration? You are not too late for declaration. We have another goat. We have another goat in the verses, and BBDH187, are you goat or fish? Let's get one more goat. J-Sticks, goat. Claim form has been submitted, says Pat said, or Commodore Friday declares fish, celebration for fish. Celebration for fish, welcome to the new verses of 20 million and 26, the goat versus fish resolution revolution. The goat versus fish constitution revolution. But this verse is something strange happened to goat. It did not set a flame. Let's watch what happened. Let's watch what happened here to goat. Here we are. We're watching the goat. Oh. Suddenly the wind fish starts blowing it. Oh, goat! The collapse of goat. The giant goat collapsed. It's not a sure-footed goat at all. We thought this goat was known for climbing, but no. That goat fell. Let's watch that fallen goat. Once more. Boom! Collapsed goat. Let's watch that in slow-mo. Let's watch that in slow-mo. 0.25 speed. Goat vs. Fish has been watching lots of videos on The Legend of Zelda to determine about how much goat and fish are in The Legend of Zelda in recent verses. And we have acquainted ourselves with the wind fish in The Legend of Zelda on Game Boy Link's Awakening. Link is actually a very fancy name. First verse is Link. Link's in the fence. All in all, it's just another link in the fence. So we think that Link is the whole thing is fence. But in any verses, there's much analysis to be done. But the windfish, there's a big game that's all about the windfish. And here it looks like the wind is blowing down the goat. So goat versus fish is going to give it to the windfish. Oh, the goat manatee. Yes. Manatee being another fish, sea creature. And if you say a manatee is not a fish, goat versus fish would question your judgment. It's clearly swimming in the sea of the fish. Where's your evidence? Zlata Zazam said, this is why 2026 is the year of the goat. Because it will stand this year. Well, you're going to have to wait until Versmas. Something loud is happening outside goat versus fish. You'll have to wait until Versmas. You'll have to wait until next Versmas, because this Versmas, the goat fell down. How do we just make this versus repetition over and over again? Can we just make it repetition? Can we say, hey, just keep playing over and over again? Just keep playing this same goat over and over again? Because goat versus fish, yes, because well, in any verses, that's what happened to goat. Sorry, goat. The collapse of goat. But now let's have a look at years back. And let's have a look at Goat on Fire. Let's have a look at Gavel Goat on Fire. Every burning caught on video, 70,000 views. Let's watch a video of every burning caught on video. Wow. What terrible music. But goat versus fish. Yes, here's video of goat burning down in years past. 2015, huge conflagration. 2016, burning from the snout first. 2016 got crashed into. 2021, flaming goat, big hot goat. 2011, fire goat. Yes, this goat's been through a lot. The goat has been through a lot. GoatVsFish ordered a stuffed goat from the Gavel Goat Company, and then they never sent it to GoatVsFish. And they said, we're sorry. We're sorry about that. They said, we're sorry about that. Goat may have fallen, but at least they don't sit on the fence. But when they're blown over, maybe they fall on the fence. But since GoatVsFish mentions the wind fish, why don't we have a look at this? Link's Awakening, Ballad of the Windfish. Yeah, thanks, but I wanted to see the fish. We wanted to see the fish. Though the song of the fish is we heard the song of the fish. But we want to see the fish. We want to see the windfish. And here it is. Behold the windfish. Oh, my verses, you did not hear the song. Grandmaster Wrong with the Windfish. Are you all not hearing Oh My Verses? Are you not hearing GoatVsFish? Are you not hearing the musications? It was the silent verses. Very curious to GoatVsFish. Well, let's try this once more. That means when GoatVsFish was listening to the musications earlier in the verses, you didn't even hear any of GoatVsFish. But at least you hear the sound of GoatVsFish. Okay, let's try this once more. Can you hear this? And there you have it, the Ballad of the Windfish. And then here it is. Here is a depiction of the windfish. Now, if you ask GoatVsFish, does that look like a fish? Does that look like a fish to you? It's called the windfish, so we have to presume that it's fish. But then there's a fish that's called a goatfish. There's a fish that's called a starfish. there's a lot of fish that are called fish, and yet there's questions about if they are fish even though they're fish. Grandmaster Ong, are you fish? Are you declaring fish with your winged fish? Raffle says goatfish. Unification. Oh, hey, look! Wake up. It's time to wake up. It is true. In The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, it's all a dream. You were asleep the whole verses, and so was the windfish. And when you wake up the windfish, the dream ends. And just as we are learning about the windfish, the alarm of GoatVsFish tells GoatVsFish to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up, GoatVsFish. It's time to wake up, GoatVsFish. It's time to wake up. Time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. Time to wake up for your morning motivation with GoatVsFish. With GoatVsFish. I'm ready to start my verses. And goat versus fish. And goat versus fish. And twist. 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 Raise up. Raise up. Raise up. Raise up. And verses. 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 And get off the fence. 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 Get off the fence. Get off the fence. And start your verses up right. With GoatVsFish. You can do. You can do, and you can see it through. That thing that you don't want to do, guess what? You can do it. And even if you can't now, maybe you can later. And there will be fence sitters that try to stop you, but you can tell them, fence you, fence sitter. Are you goat or are you fish? And you tell them that they should be working on improving themselves instead of trying to put you down. And then you put them down off the fence by asking, are you goat or fish? And then you do the thing that you thought that you were going to do, and then you completion it, and you say, celebration! I did what I thought that I said that I would do, even though I didn't want to, because now I don't have to think about doing it anymore. And that's your motivation. That's your motivation from GoatVsFish. Are you goat or are you fish? Brilliant. Brilliant verses. Oh, brilliant verses. Raffle has an interesting verses. Raffle has an interesting comment here. Raffle, in their typically positive manner in which they are always finding wonderful things to say in order to improve thoughts about what's going around, they say, I love that we got Link's Awakening and never got to find out where he fell asleep, because that makes the story and mystery much more open-ended, and so we can use our lovely imaginations in order to wonder all kinds of beautiful things, much like a dream. What I don't like, continues Raffle, is when stories are over-explained to the point where there is no room for our imagination to run wild at all, because that feels very pandering and takes all of the fun out of using your mind to comprehend a tale that is being told to you. And if it is too over-explained, then the story is too much the same for everyone, Whereas if we leave part of the story open for interpretation, then we can insert ourselves more easily into the story, and then that allows us to have a more goat or fish-like connection to what it is that we are listening to, and then it all makes us feel very special, and that's why you'll never really understand goat versus fish, and you'll never really get the answer to what is goat versus fish or why is goat versus fish, because the versus is up to you. You just put yourself in goat versus fish, and you'll find out the rest. Celebration! Celebration. Celebration. The Mighty versus Mopey 038. Are you goat or are you fish? Mopey 038. Are you goat or are you fish? BBDH 187 says fish. BBDH 187 says fish. Fish. There's that fish. There's that fish. There's that fish. We'll give one to the windfish. And Mopey goes fish. There are now more fish than goat. There are now more fish than goat in the verses. But yes, goat versus fish thought, let's wake up. Goat versus fish thought, let's wake up. Let's wake up at 10. Goat versus fish rested at 11. And goat versus fish rose. Goat versus fish, it was written that goat versus fish rested at 11 p.m. And it was written that goat versus fish rose at 3:30 a.m. And then it was written that goat versus fish couldn't fall back asleep until 8 a.m. when goat versus fish decided to get out of bed. Knowing that the alarm was set for 10, that the alarm was set for 10. But goat versus fish couldn't sleep, but that's because goat versus fish was triumphing. You say, there was no rest for goat versus fish. But quite the reverse. Goat versus fish, we made a promise to ourselves. We made a promise to ourselves that when and once we got to begin our rest, that goat versus fish would not look at this. That goat versus fish would not look at this, not even once. Once we get in the verses, and goat versus fish is all snuggly on our goat furs and our fish scales, and we're snuggling up warmly in the verses, and we're getting the rest of goat versus fish. Goat versus fish said that once we are getting our rest, we will not fence our rest by looking not even once at this. Goat versus fish would look not even once at the so-called black mirror. And between then and when goat versus fish rose again, goat versus fish did not look once. Oh, the fence, it tempted goat versus fish. Oh, it tempted goat versus fish, and it said, why, look, there's even a sticker that says goat versus fish on it. Oh, it can't be that bad, goat versus fish. Goat versus fish was not tempted. Yes, and the mind of goat versus fish was filled with all kinds of fences of agitations. Oh, just look at it. Oh, just check your social media. See if anyone's following goat versus fish. See what happened to goat versus fish. See what they're saying to goat versus fish. Seeing if anyone's trying to communication with goat versus fish. Check your views, goat versus fish. Listen to a podcast, goat versus fish. Watch a video, goat versus fish. But goat versus fish did none of this. Goat versus fish simply pondered goat versus fish and meditationed on goat versus fish until goat versus fish rose, and then goat versus fish did a consumption, and then goat versus fish made a couple of verses, and then goat versus fish gave you a living stream, and that's the motivation of goat versus fish. That's the motivation of goat versus fish. And then goat versus fish arose 3 days later. We think 3 days later it will again be goat versus fish. We think it will again be goat versus fish. Did you count goat or fish to fall asleep? Goat versus fish did not count goat or fish to fall asleep. We simply said, goat versus fish, goat versus fish, goat versus fish, goat versus fish. And we thought about goat versus fish. We philosophications about goat versus fish. And we thought about all of you. We thought about all of you and how all you need goat versus fish. And that's why goat versus fish came to you for this early morning motivational verses. And now goat versus fish can look and say, it is so early, it is yet so early, and yet we have already given you goat versus fish, and yet we have already given you over an hour of goat versus fish. And where are we in the verses? We have fish. We have 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9 fish. We have 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7 goat. 9 fish, 7 goat. We have $2.25 in donation for fish. But we have 12 subscriptions from GOAT. We have 12 subscriptions for GOAT. It's a tough verses. This is a difficult verses. There are more fish than goat. There are more fish than goat. But the goat have made a stronger contribution than fish. The goat have made a stronger contribution than fish. So it's difficult to say. It is difficult to say who does triumph. Who triumphs this versus? Well, maybe goat versus fish. We'll just leave it to the next versus. Maybe that's the revolution of goat versus fish. Instead of declaring who triumphed this stream of goat versus fish, we are just going to continue the next verses, and we're just going to keep adding more goat and fish. We're going to add more goat and fish. We're going to add more goat and fish. Of course, we didn't really get around to the windfish very much. So let's do just a little review of the windfish. The windfish is a character in Link's Awakening. The windfish is a character in Link's Awakening. He is a large flying whale able to control the wind who makes his home atop Mount Tamarank on Koholint Island inside the windfish's egg. He serves as the main focus of the storyline. Well, already this is an interesting fish because it lives on top of a mountain, which is very goat-like. And it looks kind of like a whale, which some say is actually a sea goat. And also it's in an egg, which seems kind of fence-sitterly. And yet its name is windfish. So it seems like it should be a fish. He can only be woken with the instruments of the sirens. Should the windfish wake, Koholint Island and all its inhabitants will vanish. However, Link only learns the true nature of the windfish after the final nightmare has been defeated. Citation needed. Wow, you can't even go to zeldawiki.wiki/wiki/windfish without having a citation needed. We thought that the Legend of Zelda was just a legend. We thought that it was just a fanciful tale that was told by GoatVsFish. Not that it's supposed to be a real thing that actually happened, like Goat versus Fish, the one true versus. So why, if you're just making it all up, do you need a citation? Goat versus Fish does not need a citation. All you need to do is say that it was written that it was Goat versus Fish, and then you say, well, yes, but how do you know it's Goat versus Fish? And you say it was written that it was Goat versus Fish. And they say, how can you trust that when it says it was written that it was Goat versus Fish, that it was really Goat versus Fish? And you say, well, because it is Goat versus Fish. Pretty simple verses. A pretty simple verses. So maybe Goat vs. Fish will play The Legend of Zelda, Legend of the Windfish, one of these verses on stream or whatever the fence, just because Goat vs. Fish can do anything we want. You can do anything you want in the verses of 2,000,026. The freedom is yours to get out there and to triumph. All that there is goat and fish. The fences are but an illusion, meant to distract you from achieving your verses. Remember, it is not just at the beginning and the dawn of the new verses that you will have the motivation of Goat versus Fish. Let the motivation of Goat versus Fish carry you through. Some even say that the beginning of the new verses of 20,026 is an illusion. We could count our verses anyway. There are infinite verses within one verses. And within that one verses are another infinite more. And all of those infinite verses are part of yet another verses, which is just one of another infinite verses. It is never too late. It is always time to start triumphing. It is always time to get off the fence. It is always time to choose goat or fish. It is always time for Goat versus Fish. And if you lack the motivation this verses, if the fences have got you sat down this verses, then next verses, you can find your motivation again. You don't have to wait until 20,027. You don't have to wait until 20,028. Some say, 2026 sucks. But next year is going to be better. Well, Goat versus Fish will tell you this. It will only be better when you get better. It gets better when you get better, and you get better with Goat versus Fish. Goat versus Fish is getting better every verses. Getting better every verses. You don't have to wait for the year to be excellent. You can make it excellent by doing that thing that you said you were going to do. Goat vs. Fish has at least 5,000 things we said that we were going to do. And now Goat vs. Fish is going to do at least one of them. And one of the verses that Goat vs. Fish is going to do is that we're going to send a shirt to Padistedor because they won it from Goat vs. Fish. And celebration for your triumph. Celebration for your triumph. And that's going to be the living stream of Goat vs. Fish. It was just a little bit of morning motivation for you. It was just a humble and simple morning motivation for you. Why is this being so fancy? Maybe the motivation of Goat vs. Fish is to get this verses to stop being so fancy. Maybe one year. And the mean verse is this. So that's the living stream of Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish, one of our revolutions to ourselves is to make a schedule for Goat vs. Fish once again. We've probably said this last verses, but we'll say it again. And we want to give you more living streams of Goat vs. Fish. Perhaps two a week? Perhaps 3 a week? What if Goat vs. Fish had a regular morning motivational services? What if Goat vs. Fish gave you regular morning motivation? Goat vs. Fish often thinks, Goat vs. Fish is a late versus. You come back late and you want to watch something crazy on the televerses. But maybe Goat vs. Fish becomes an early versus. Maybe Goat vs. Fish is an early type versus. Or maybe Goat vs. Fish is a middle type versus. Between the goat and fish, not on the fence, but in the verses there. Maybe it's a middle type verses. Goat versus fish, we'll just have to see. But Goat versus Fish can tell you this. Thanks to SeanKnight.com and Blackstone514 and Tyrus4191. You have been very generous to Goat versus Fish this verses, and that does give Goat versus Fish ever more motivation to continue Goat versus Fish. So we wish you a celebration. YouTube, it's been a true versus. Join us next living stream of Goat vs. Fish to continue Goat vs. Fish celebration. Subscribe to Goat vs. Fish on YouTube. And join Goat vs. Fish. Join Goat vs. Fish. Join Goat vs. Fish on all social media at Goat vs. Fish. At GoatVsFish. And if you want to really support Goat vs. Fish, join the patreon.com/GoatVsFish. YouTube, you never know when they're going to censor or ban Goat vs. Fish. Twitch, you never know when they're going to censor or ban Goat vs. Fish, or whatever the fence. So, go to Patreon and become a member of Goat vs. Fish. Pledge $5 American a month, and Goat vs. Fish will bring more verses to you. Appreciation, and it was written.